Throughout the Acolyte, we go on such a journey with Saul, and we had said, like at the beginning of the show, that we were hoping he would be the beacon of light, the good guy, and maybe some of us faltered away from that by the end of the show. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are still Saul stans. How are you feeling after a rewatch? Are you still Team Saul, hashtag Team Saul?
I am still a Saul stan through and through, but of course, like the Acolyte, it's such a complex show. And it makes it challenging to watch because everything is not clearly stated to be black or white. The good guys are not always perfect. The bad guys are not always pure evil. With Saul, I love that he wears his heart on his sleeve. It makes it easy to empathize with him and be like, yeah, I would go on a mission with him. I want to go on a noble quest with Saul. But with the context of having just rewatched the series, you know that he's hurting the whole time. You know what he's holding in when he has those moments where he might reveal the truth to Osha. One thing that kind of really sold me on he still is the beacon of light is that in the flashback, right after they're leaving Brendok, he wants to tell Osha the truth that very moment. And it's Indara that stops him. And Indara saying, we'll tell her the truth. This lie that I just created. Again, that's the challenging, complex thing about this show is then who's the good guy in this scenario? Indara wanting to lie to Osha so that she lives this quote unquote happy life afterwards. Saul wanted to tell her the truth. Later in the future, he literally says that to her. You know, I wanted to tell you this whole time. I couldn't. Without your sister May, there was no way I could bring this to the council. It's super complex. It's not black or white. My heart breaks for Saul in those moments. I believe he wants to tell the truth through the whole thing, but he does have a hard time, not just with telling Osha the truth, but even the Jedi Council after everyone's murdered on Kofar, even to May later when he does finally admit, yeah, I killed your mother. He stumbles to get those words out. I think because of that discourse with Indara, that gives me one more point for Saul still remaining the beacon of light within this series. But it is hard to find people to root for that are just inherently, perfectly good, which is just not the case.
Yeah, it's not the case. The show is much more nuanced and complex than that. And I gotta say, after the first watch, I was 100% Team Indara. I wasn't at the beginning of the show, but at the end of the show, I was. I think that she handled May super well during them testing her in that second flashback. I think she handled all of that really well. And I really liked that she confronts Saul at the end when he said he was going to turn himself over. And she says, why would you do that to Osha? You would now strip her of her dream after we've destroyed everything else in her life. I still really like that. I still side with Indara in that sense.
Would she have fallen to the dark side, though, if she had known the truth from the beginning? She only falls because she was lied to.
That's the path. That's the thread they pulled. I think that this points to like different members of the audience connecting to different characters based on our lived experience. I so much sympathize with Indara after seeing that second flashback episode. Like you're saying, like go back in time and see what the characters were going through and how they felt. I sympathize with all of them because that one day, that one choice destroyed that team and they all go off on their own and kind of like excommunicate themselves. Upon the rewatch, for me, I sympathized much more with Saul. I saw it, like you're saying, I saw it in his eyes. It was not easy. I think a lot of times what I do is I project what I know onto the characters in the show, and they don't know what I know. We're seeing everything. We're seeing a bird's eye view of everything. So it's easy. It's very easy to judge. It's very easy to be like, Saul, why are you doing this way? Why are you jumping to conclusions? Whereas in that second flashback episode, we see that he does not see any of the love. He does not see any of the love between the twins and their parents. He only sees Mother Coral confront them in the woods and yell at them. He then goes into the facility and he sees Mother Anastasia push them with the Force and tell them your enemies will not wait. He only sees these kind of attacks on these two kids, so he's fearing for them. So I did see it in a different light as I rewatched it. And then at the end, it builds up to him admitting this secret for all of us, for every one of us in the audience. There are secrets that are hard to admit. We are so afraid of saying them out loud. He is afraid of saying it out loud. And when he does, all of our greatest fears are realized. Like it has the ultimate consequence, him admitting that secret. So it's, again, a very relatable thing. It's so complex. It's not just black and white. Honestly, that's one of the things I love about this show. And I went back and rewatched it and I had a completely different take.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the rewatch. That's why we were doing it. All right, listeners, let us know what you feel about Soul and Indara, these lying liars who lie all the time. Drop some comments down below and make sure to subscribe for more nerdy pop culture, but mostly Star Wars. Thanks for listening today. We'll see you next time.